Welcome back to another episode of the I and Kind podcast. I'm your host, Ethan, and back beside me is my co-host, Everett. What's up, dude?
Nothing much. Happy to be back. It's been a while since I've been on here, so.
It has been. It's good to have you back.
Thank you. Today's podcast is sponsored by Stand for Kind. Take a stand against bullying in your school and visit www.standforkind.com.
Last year was an unprecedented year in our history. We dealt with discouragement, uncertainty, fear, and anxiety. We began to doubt ourselves and what our future holds. But it's a new year and a new day. It was the great Rafiki in Disney's The Lion King that said that we can either run from the past or learn from it. So how can we learn from the experiences of last year and move forward into a brighter tomorrow today?
Last year was quite a year. And joining us today, our guest is Stuart Edge, an entertainer and popular YouTuber. Welcome to the podcast, Stuart.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I guess as much as here is via Zoom. Yeah.
A lot of gatherings these days are over Zoom, right?
Yeah. I guess for the listener, though, I mean, I'm inside their ear just as long. We three are collectively just sitting right next to their ear, right in their ear canal, right next to their eardrum. That's where we are.
Indeed.
So the description on your YouTube channel says that before you were a popular YouTuber, you were cleaning porta potties. Is that true?
Yes, it's very true.
Oh my goodness.
Are you looking for a job cleaning porta potties, Ethan?
No, I'm just asking.
Why you seemed pretty inquisitive about that. You genuinely are considering that for a job.
No, I'm not. I'm just very curious. I'm just very curious.
I mean, I could get you a job doing it. I could get you a job cleaning porta potties. Like it really sounds in your voice that is something that you are very interested in doing, and I could really get you a job doing that.
I don't know why my voice sounded like that. I didn't intend it to be that way. How did you make that change from cleaning porta potties to becoming a rather successful YouTuber?
So I was cleaning porta potties for about a year and a half in college. And as I cleaned there, things started to get pretty tough. It was actually kind of similar to, I would say, the year 2020, right? It was an election year. It was 2012. And there was a lot of turmoil in the world, a lot of, bickering and talking happening. And it was a very confusing time. And while I cleaned, I would listen to talk radio a lot. And that just started to get so overwhelming. And then I started listening to music, but even all I had was the radio, and all the songs started to get very repetitive. And so I had this moment where I was cleaning porta potties, and I thought, wait a second, what am I doing with my life? I'm cleaning porta potties right now. And then it's a great job. No shame to anyone that cleans porta potties, but I just was looking at my life. I was young, 24, and I was like, I just don't know if this is what I want to do. Anyway, so I decided to start listening to inspirational podcasts instead of listening to music and talk radio. And after about 6 weeks of doing that, I had this idea that maybe I should start getting into making YouTube videos. And that's when I bought a video camera, started taking it with me everywhere, not on the job cleaning porta potties, although I did have this idea for my first YouTube video. I never made it, but I was like, how fun would it be to film a day on the job cleaning porta potties? I think that's something that people would want to watch.
Yeah, that's in a very organic job and something that somebody would actually be interested in watching, because
it is literally the most organic. That is what or the definition of organic. So I started taking it around because I thought, oh, this is something that people would want to watch. I want to make this so that when Ethan's considering his life choices in a few years, he can look at this video of me cleaning porta potties and be like, yes, that's the job I want. But after taking that camera with me to a neighborhood camp out, I had a friend of mine that saw me with a video camera and said, hey, I see you carrying this thing around. Would you like an internship learning how to make YouTube videos for a company? Now, this company specialized in making tongue cleaner YouTube advertisements. Yeah.
Please tell me
So
these are fake advertisements.
no, though it was actually brilliant. This marketing team was so good at advertising that they took a product as strange as a tongue cleaner and made these amazingly presented viral advertisements on YouTube to promote this product, a tongue cleaner. After a few months working there and learning how to make videos, I had this idea for a video that I should try on my own YouTube channel, which was called Mistletoe Kissing Prank. I went to a college party and there was a mistletoe hanging above the door, probably like you guys see at parties. And I, as a young college student, thought, do people even do this mistletoe tradition anymore? Because anytime I try and get under the mistletoe, everybody leaves. Maybe that just has something to do with my face and not necessarily the tradition.
Down there.
Yeah. Anyway, so a friend and I made this joke, like, what if we did this social experiment where we went to a college campus and asked people if they celebrated the tradition of the mistletoe, and if they said yes, then we dropped a mistletoe above them to see if they actually would do it. And so we did. I borrowed the video camera from our company and we went out and filmed this video for just asking people, and it was hilarious to watch in person. And then we were capturing the video, and I went back and I edited it. It was my first major video that I was editing on my own. And
that was one of the major videos I saw before we started recording this podcast. I took a look at your profile and your channel. That was one of the top videos up there. That was what I saw, the mistletoe kissing thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I did not think as a young 24-year-old that this video that I was making would end up being the video that was trending #1 in the world that week. And I uploaded it to my YouTube channel when I had 9 subscribers. Like, I was not, like you see people trying YouTube today, and the ones that have 9 subscribers, it's like, yeah, good luck, buddy. Make sure you keep your job. But that's what I had, 9 subscribers, and then I uploaded this video and it just took off. As people started sharing it and it was going viral. And
wow,
here I was, this little kid that was cleaning porta potties just a few weeks before this, and now had this idea, and I made the mistletoe prank and it blew up. Those 9 subscribers quickly turned into 20,000 subscribers. And then I think by the time I had made my next video, I was already up to 100,000 subscribers.
wow.
And then it just continued to grow. I had this moment where I was still working at the marketing agency, and I was not able to give time to both places. And I had this moment where I thought, the opportunity to work for somebody else will probably always be there, but the opportunity to go pursue this thing that's mine right now may not. And so I'm going to do this. And so I left and I started to continue to make videos. And thankfully, things just took off from there. Shortly after that, I was on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. He saw my stuff and invited me onto the show, and my channel grew to over 2 million followers. And yeah, but I mean, all that's exciting, but it started with this really tough year where I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And within 6 months, my life literally changed from cleaning porta potties to now having a viral internet video.
I just want to ask, were you afraid of quitting that porta potty job just because it felt kind of more, secure to have something that you can just rely on? Did you experience any fear of saying, maybe I should take this, this risk and go out and try and do this with the marketing or even just with the videos?
Everet, are you cleaning porta potties right now? And that's a way for you to act.
No.
So, was that a subliminal question? Are you needing to tell us something? Yes, you can quit the porta potty job, Everet. You have a good podcast going. No, I don't know. I actually wanted to quit a lot. It was the feeling that I shouldn't quit just yet kept coming, and I'm very grateful that I didn't quit yet. In that case, I was ready to go. I think towards the end, but maybe towards the beginning. I don't know. That's a good question. I guess just to give a clearer answer, I'm actually wanted to quit that job, but the hard thing, like I had mentioned, was feeling like I shouldn't quit just yet and staying. So I'm sorry, Everett, you're gonna have to stay with the job for a little bit longer.
People saying that it might not work, or basically any other sort of setbacks that could have
Mhm.
possibly happened. How did you deal with those setbacks?
How did I quit and went back to porta potties for a bit. No, I that's how I felt, and that's I think the tough thing is as much as people say like this is what you do when someone tells you they cast doubt on you or they think you can't do this. There was a day I really contemplated. I was like, I want to quit and go back to cleaning porta potties. Nobody bothered me when I was cleaning porta potties. It was a consistent job. I could listen to the podcasts I wanted to listen to. I knew I was going to get paid rather than uploading a video and maybe I will get paid. In short, I think the answer to that is it is very difficult to deal with people's negative comments and hate. And I wish there was an antidote for it. Yeah, I could say the antidote is you just don't listen to the haters. But I mean, do you guys watch football or anything like that? Play football? Okay, so there's this common saying in American football where a receiver is if he's running and the quarterback throws it, and there is this saying where if the receiver touches it with his hands, he should have caught it. And so for years I watched football and there was like, oh, the receiver touched it, he should have caught it. And then there was this one commentator that was like, people that say that have never actually been on the field running and about to be smashed by another player. And it's a lot more difficult and a lot more complex than just if your fingers touch the ball, you should have caught it. And I feel like that's the same way is that people say, oh, just don't listen to the haters. But it's something different when you actually are creating something and haters are coming to you because um, you're attached to the content that you're creating. And it really does feel like a part of you. And I think actually what ended up happening is I didn't listen to people at all. And I ended up having some moments that came back to me and I feel where there was some backlash on. I created some content that just, maybe wasn't the best thing to be putting online. It was very personal stuff. And so I felt like I dealt the other way where I wasn't listening to people at all. And I ended up being hurt by it, where maybe along the lines where people could have been saying some stuff like, hey, and I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, some people were like giving some warning signs. And I thought, what do you know? You're just a hater. However, that's also flipped onto the other side where now there have been some people that say some stuff and I completely read into it and I don't go create stuff because I'm just so I'm so afraid. There's not a clear answer. Like you're going to make mistakes. Even the best people, even like the people that are in the highest positions have made mistakes in their childhood and their youth where they've done stuff and they've been imprisoned. Right. And so it's not about not making mistakes. It's about getting up and moving forward when you've made those mistakes.
Yeah, mistakes are what allow us to learn.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell. I think mistakes are what have allowed me to progress in anything that I try to learn about. Driving specifically.
Yeah. Sure.
And I hate to say that I've made mistakes in driving, but you're going to make mistakes in almost anything you try for the first time. And that's one of the reasons I was so scared to drive at first.
Yeah.
Making mistake in driving can be potentially lethal. But that's why my mother was so very careful in how in specific roads she would let me on, that, if I were to make mistakes, they would only be minor. And so it was, we had some minor, major mistakes, but I didn't hit anything and I learned from a lot of them. And I consider myself a decent driver.
Yeah. I do feel there is some truth. Ultimately, like what you have to do is really have to push past it, but that doesn't minimize the fact that when people are saying things to you, that it really is tough. And I think that that's something we could use a little bit more of in our community and society is more empathy towards people that are struggling. Yes, ultimately, I think the answer is to get on and move past it. But that's not what people really want to hear when they're dealing with hate and dealing and struggling with things. We know we need to move past things. We know we need to stop listening to the haters. But ultimately, what you need for a moment is someone to say, yes, it is tough, and let's sulk in this this tough moment for a while. I found that reaching out to somebody and saying, things are kind of tough right now, I'm struggling, that has been the one thing that has helped me get through setbacks more than anything. And I know that's not like a clear answer that you can like, that's going to solve the setbacks, but reaching out to somebody and saying, I'm struggling. And man, it's taken a while for me to get to the point where I can confidently say that to somebody. But now anytime I'm struggling with something, I will call a friend and I'll just say, life is tough. And then we'll just sit and talk. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having somebody there to kind of just sit and talk with, just to make sure that you can vent. And I feel like like people who do this professionally to like help people get through their tough times and stuff like that, that's the number one rule, is that they listen first, is just to make sure that listen to. So I think that's going to be great. And I love how this story can compare to like some of us coming out of 2020. We all kind of thought 2020 was like a heck of a year, right? It can be a porta potty in a way. So how do you think that some of us teens and younger generations, or even older generations, can come out of 2020 and move into 2021 with hope?
First thing I would, one thing that helped me was to stop setting New Year's resolutions. What was that?
I kind of like that.
Yes. Now I say that, cautiously, because I guess one day I just realized, like, yeah, really the only New Year's resolution that really changes every year would be financial, because there's a tax season. I don't know if you guys are old enough to pay taxes yet, but I got to this point, I was like, yeah, like the only thing that really that's bound by a timeline of a year would be something that's financial or legal. But every other thing in my life that I want to change, it's not bound by a year, like 2020 or 2021. Exactly, Ethan. Exactly. Like, and so that was something that in my mind. So I would say stop setting New Year's resolutions. Now, don't go extreme with that. I think it's important to have times in our lives where we have these markers. But that was something for me where I was like, if I'm going to change, I can change right now. And it's not based off of a year, or I don't have to wait till next year or wait till a future date to change. So that really helped me. Is anytime I wanted to change something associated with my behavior, I just decided to change right now.
We'd like to thank Stuart Edge for sharing his story and thoughts about living your dreams and making a new you. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel and follow him on Instagram at Stuart_Edge.
As we've talked about learning from the last year and the future this new year, it's important to remember to learn from the past, prepare for the future, but live in the present.
I want to thank my amazing co-host, Everett. Also, a huge thanks to everyone for listening to this episode of the I in Kind podcast. And remember, you matter. Thanks for listening.